Hello and welcome to the reading from Agastya Balipadu, translated as Agastya the Path. And today's topic is mental illness from the chapter Karma from the book Agastya, Purpose of Life. Sister Sumati will start reading now.
Thank you. Anuradha asks a question: why are children born mentally or developmentally challenged? Sage Agastya replies, this question has already been explained in one of the interactions, but let me elaborate on it for you. A person who is born with deformities certainly belongs to the category of persons who have had bad karmas in the past. A mentally or developmentally challenged child is not able to acquire knowledge or truth in that lifetime. Therefore, such souls are born in the next life in a normal body. In this case, one lifetime has been wasted in terms of acquiring good karmas.
So, what is Appa saying here? Now, whatever Appa says, we should, even though it looks kind of negative at the beginning, we must never take it as negative because we are not looking at what Appa is saying as normal human beings, as ordinary human beings, where we have no understanding of the higher spiritual truths. So Appa's words are coming directly from higher spiritual truths. And here there is no question of being politically correct because Appa is saying what is the truth because we have to face the truth. So when my question was to him, why are children born mentally and developmentally challenged? And Appa says, it is karma. People born with deformities or any kind of disabilities, whether it's mental or any other form, it is definitely karma from the past lives. And that is a reality, but that doesn't mean that they are the only people who have incurred karma. It means that all of us have karma, otherwise we will not be here in this life, in this body. Each one of us, no matter how righteous we are all here because we have been, acquiring bad karma through our actions in the past lives. Sometimes these karmas manifest in a more aggressive form. And in this case, where children are born with mental or developmental disabilities, per saying such a child is not able to acquire knowledge or truth in that lifetime. So what happens when a person, even in a normal circumstances, we as normal people who are normal or in the sense who have all the faculties intact, are not able to understand the higher truths of righteousness, the basic truth of righteousness, and other higher spiritual truths. So when somebody is already born with a major challenge like that, they don't have the mental capacity to acquire knowledge or progress spiritually in this lifetime. So he says, in that case, that one lifetime has been wasted. But is it really wasted? We'll learn in the next paragraph. Go ahead, Sister Sumati.
And we have one more question also, Uma.
Yes.
There is one on the part of the child. Yeah, it is true. They come here with the bad karma to clear. And of course, they know sins because the sense is not working.
Right.
But the question is on the parent side. Do they have the bad karma too to accept this child with the mental disability? And how do we answer on that part?
Beautiful. Very, very, very relevant question. So there are two things here. One is it could be karmic because a person has committed a lot of karma, bad karma, that they are having to bear the challenges of bringing up a mentally developmentally challenged child. But in most cases, and in fact, I have witnessed a case where Appa said the child which is born mentally and developmentally challenged had prayed for good parents, for parents who would look after him or her, which means most of the parents who have children who are born mentally and developmentally challenged have been chosen specifically because of their higher attributes. In this case, they're actually acquiring a lot more good karma than a lot of us, because it is, as it is, bringing up a child in this world is a challenge. But when parents who have developmentally and mentally in children, bring up their children, they are facing a lot more challenges. They're learning a lot more patience. They're gaining a lot by helping another soul which is trying to get rid of its karma by being born in such a state. So, in fact, from what I feel, from what Appa has said, almost all the parents who have mentally and developmentally challenged children and are the ones who are able to take care of them with love no matter what happens, those people have actually been chosen to have these children because they have the great strength and ability to help them. And in helping them with patience and love and kindness, they are also acquiring a lot of good karma. But there is 1% of the parents who do not do that. They can be very mean, and in America especially, I read this in newspapers and in the news. There are many parents with mentally and developmentally challenged children who have tortured the children, who have killed the children because they don't want to take care of them. In that case, they already have bad karma. They're adding a lot more bad karma to their life. And that poor child, the soul that is born in such a case, by undergoing so much suffering in a very short time, is also, and not being able to respond or react, because a mentally or a developmentally challenged person does not have intent, because intent is the main factor in karma. An action which does not have intent, which is Appa has given a beautiful example of a person sitting and throwing the stone into water. Without thinking he's throwing it, it's okay. So actions like that don't incur karma. And so that kind of children, when they are suffering so much by parents who are torturing them, are actually getting rid of their karma and not adding anymore. They may not learn something more, but they have no faculties or intent or the ability to react or create more karma.
Very well explained, Uma.
Thank
Very well explained. Thank you. But again, as Appa explained, that the mentally or developmentally challenged child, if their punyam is good, then they will be born in a good family. But if they equally carry a lot of pavams, and with the less punya, maybe they will be born in a very bad situation. But the fortunate thing is that since the sense is not working, although they go through the physical pain, but mentally are not affected.
Right, because they don't have the faculties that we all have. Yes. In terms of reacting to such things, understanding what is happening to them. So in this case, I would like to share that we knew a family, beautiful, very rich, very beautiful young couple, but the child was very much deformed. The child was highly intelligent, but totally deformed in the body, with deformed legs and hands, and it had stuff on the face which was so hard for anybody to even go near the child. But in that case, Appa told that child asked to be born in a good family. So in this case, the parents, because of their good deeds and because they were considered to be a good family, the child was born to them, so that they actually, by taking good care of the child, even though it was a shock for them when they had the baby, they developed more good or incurred more good karma. And the child also incurred good karma because of the fact that it had more good karma, so it was born to a family like that.
Yes, yes. Because sometimes when a wealthy family and a rich family, when we have this kind of child, they feel shy and sort of sometimes feel shame and to tell to the parents, because tell to the world that I have such a child. And one of classic example is in the company that I'm working. The owner is a billionaire,
Mhm.
and they got a 3 child, and all 3 are retarded. And he's a billionaire, and he went all over the world and all this thing. And this is of past about 10, 20 years ago's experience. And uh, but fortunately, he got a lot of devotion towards God. And after some times, they're recovering quite fast.
Very nice.
And yeah.
So, I have to share another small thing with this regarding this. So, when my father, at that point, my daughter was living with Gajraj Swamigal, and I was living in a different city because of work reasons. So, when Gajraj Swamigal told me, hey, your daughter is actually playing with this child that nobody else wants to play, because when this child goes to the playground, all the other children run away because of all the, she bubbles on the whole body, which is bursting, pus was coming out. But your child is playing with her. And I was very happy. And I didn't realize until I saw the picture of the child. I never saw the child. I saw the picture of the child. I was shocked because at that time I was not spiritually very advanced either. So I was like, oh my God, I wouldn't be able to play with this child either. But my daughter, actually, she did. She used to sit with the baby on the bed, and they used to play together. I've learned over the years, and the child did pass away, but she had a friend in my daughter. And now I realize why Appa liked my daughter so much, and he would call her Sirmi.
Good explanation. Okay.
Yeah. To continue, it is important to note that it is better to be born in this condition when compared to a person who is born normal but commits many unrighteous actions, acquiring more karmas. A mentally or developmentally challenged child does not commit such actions. Such people are higher than a person who is born normal but commits sins. If you follow the cycle of such a child in the next birth, you will see that it leads to a better life than the person who acquired negative karmas in his past life. A mentally or developmentally challenged child is not given a chance to use its brain to make mistakes. So, 50% of karma is cleared by just taking such a birth, whereas the wicked man commits more mistakes and accumulates more karma. He adds more drama to his existing karmic burden.
Beautiful. Appa has so clearly explained here again that, when a child is born in such a condition, they do not acquire good karma because they are not committing any action with knowledge, with intent, but they're also not acquiring bad karma. And and he says it is better to be born with mental and developmental challenges because in such a case the person is not acquiring any more karma. So we must view this entire idea of karma from a spiritual level, not as a judgment. We cannot say, hey, that person is mentally challenged because of karma, and we, kind of feel superior to them. That is why Appa says they are better than you because with all your faculties, knowing everything that you know, you're making mistakes. You're acquiring more karma. So then, he says, he says, if you follow such a child in the next birth, you will see that they lead a better life than a person who has acquired negative karmas in the past life. This is again very important. So when we see somebody who is mentally or developmentally challenged, we must understand that their next birth will be better because they have, by undergoing everything that they've undergone in that particular lifetime, taken away most of the karmas or removed most of the karma by undergoing everything without reacting. Now there is a lesson in this for all of us. And what is that? The lesson is we can be like that when we do not react to any event to create more karma. If we can perform an action without intent, if we can do something that does not harm anybody and we will live without harming people, then we can be like the children who are lucky to be born developmentally and mentally challenged, because we will not acquire more karma. Very easy to say, hard to do. Even with all
Yeah.
our spiritual abilities, we still make mistakes. But the good thing is, as spiritual aspirants, and as Sri Vallai Maharishi of Agastya Gnanapeetham talks about, and make sure every day review the spiritual truths in your own life. Think about, have you been angry with somebody? Have you done something wrong? Have you committed a theft? Have you lied to somebody? Have you hurt somebody's feeling? Think of everything that you do each day. Much more important than that, be aware every moment of the day, whether you're talking, you're walking, you're speaking, you're working. Be aware. Be aware of your actions, especially in relation to others, because that is where you're going to get karma or gather more bad karma. Be careful. And if you realize during the act, say you're talking about somebody, stop. Realize that is a karma. Stop right there. It's okay. It's okay to know that you made a mistake. It's good to admit that you made a mistake. You don't have to tell anybody. Inside yourself, try to stop it immediately and then try not to repeat it. This is something that can only happen with a lot of practice. Even today, I keep making the same mistakes, and then I keep, oh my God, I need to stop this, and then I start again. So we must become very aware of our actions and thoughts, because this is very important as in terms of karma, in terms of how our future will be or how our future lives will be. So he says 50% of the karma is cleared by taking such a birth. So why is it? Because when a person is born like that, then they have no ability to create more karma. So 50% of the karmas is gone. But we were born with all the faculties, we start adding more karma to our existing burden. Now, is there anybody else, Brother Krippan Swami?
Yes, ma'am. I was just reading the Agastya Valipadu 2, and one of the chapter is actually about the bad thoughts. So Appa explains about the karma is actually the thought. The thought they makes the karma. That's why, as Amma mentioned just now, that what Vare Maharishi are doing is exactly a daily checklist, ma. And what are we supposed to do? And every attributes he gives about 2 weeks. And for example, the most heavier attributes actually the anger. So as what you're doing now, ma. And that gives, and then everyday checklist, end of the day, okay, where am I? And what's the progress am I doing? But we must do intentionally, devotionally to ourselves, because the checklist is actually correcting ourselves. And by doing that, we are not only reducing the prarabdha karma now, but also will reduce the that accumulated karma.
Right.
So our daily action is very important. As Appa mentioned in this chapter, that the person who is making a lot of sins with the normal birth is worse than the mentally challenged or developmentally challenged this thing. So every word we need to be very extremely careful to utter. But we need to, being a human being and be engaged in so many activities a day, we need a checklist. Otherwise, everybody say yes, yes, but then too busy to monitor that.
That's true. And there are two things in this that I'm reminded of. One is, think about the simple words, Krishnarpanam. How many of us say Krishnarpanam without thinking about it? When you say Krishnarpanam, you are giving your thought and action that you're doing to God at that time. So if you say Krishnarpanam with the intent, Appa, whatever I'm doing or saying now is all yours. You are no longer affected by that karma. But that doesn't mean you go and do bad karma. But you also have to understand as spiritual aspirants that even good karma keeps bringing us back. We have to come to a stage where there is neither good or bad karma. We come to a stage where we can rise above the duality. So everything we do, offer it to Appa. The other thing is bad thoughts, which is a very important aspect that Brother Karpan Swami has brought in. Where do actions arise from? Unless it's a reflex action, in which case, even if it is bad, it's still wrong. Most actions arise from thoughts. Because unless there's a thought, then you're not going to do something. So check the thought. So how do you check the thought? By watching what you see, hear, think, read. Remember that. Because you may not be thinking a bad thought. You might be in a different zone, but you see something. Say, for example, a very physically explicit movie, okay? That is going to affect you. Whether you like it or not, however spiritual you are or not. So avoid that. And actively avoid going to places where, this kind of negative uh, thoughts are around. Say, go to a bar, what happens? What kind of environment is there? Because the thoughts are in that area are all very baser level. It's going to affect you no matter how spiritual you are. Even Swami Paramahamsa Yogananda says the same thing. Do not go. Do not go to such places. As spiritual aspirants, we must understand sometimes the environment has more power than our own ability or our own will. So why expose ourselves to anything like that? So we must actively avoid negativity or bad karma by actively dislocating or distancing ourselves from such things. It's so important. That is why when we see children being exposed to violent movies, violent actions, explicit movies, it is not good. That is not giving a good foundation for the child. The world has to come to its senses and understand that the future of the world rests on the children who are born today, and those children are being exposed to bad things right from day one. How many videos don't we see of children playing on the iPhone or watching TV? There was a time when we were children, when we used to go out and play. We were so innocent until we came of age. Where is that innocence gone? So it's so important now for parents and teachers in the world to be aware of what the children are being exposed to and try to guide them in a proper way. We must go back to the basics. We must go back past a life of simplicity, of days when grandma used to tell stories, because those things affected us positively. So thought is very important in terms of not only spiritual and mental and emotional evolution, but thought is also important evolution of this world. That is why we are in such a bad negative state right now in the world. Everything around us, it's 75, 80% is unnecessary stuff that we don't need in our lives. We have gone so much into materialism. We keep buying so many things without knowing why we are doing that. So all of us, it's time to take stock as the world, as one humanity. We see all this wars going on right now, but on the other side, there are people out there laughing or about how there's so much cold in these areas that if they keep the toilet paper, it just stands still. That is to be scared of. That is to be something to be afraid of, something to be taken stock of. That is what Appa is saying. There is no time to play anymore. We've already ruined the world so much. We need to take stock as a world, come together as one humanity, stop wars, stop destroying, try to maintain and regulate what we already have, safeguard it. Otherwise, the future of the world is going to be more and more and more difficult. We might be making more and more Gucci shoes and stuff, but how many tons of water is needed to make a pair of jeans or that kind of high-end materials? There'll come a time where there'll be no water, he says. It may not happen in a lifetime, but that is going to happen. That's the words of a rishi. We must take stock of what's happening around us. We must go back as humanity to a stage where we can help our children lead a better life, to be more positive and to not create more trouble for themselves and the world. Go ahead, Sister Sumati or Brother Ramji. Karpan Swami, if you have anything more to add to this.
Yeah, ma, because the Appa has given us a very shortcut for this Kali Yuga, that be a responsible citizen and with a good character, and follow the code of life. And if you have this kind of good ethics and good character, as shown in Agastya Valipada, with or without meditation, Jnanam is assured. And maybe Amma can translate. இது ஞானத்தில் தேர்ந்தவர்க்கும் நியமத்தை பரிபாலித்தோர்க்கும் நெடுமுறை செல்வோர்க்கும் நன்மையை செய்வோர்க்கும் நற்குணம் படைத்தோர்க்கும் தர்மத்தை காப்போர்க்கும் தியானத்தை செய்தாலும் செய்யாவிட்டாலும் பரஞானத்தை அழிக்க உதவுகிறது.
So what Appa is saying is, and what Brother Karpan Swami is actually reading out what Appa is saying in his beautiful words is that those who are following the path of Dharma, who are doing kind acts, who are and other things like that, in this time of major negativity that is in the world, such people will gain higher knowledge. Now, why is gaining higher knowledge important? Gaining higher knowledge is important because when you understand why karma, why creation, what is the purpose of life, you're going to change. And when you change, you're going to live a righteous life. You're going to walk on the path of spirituality. Your consciousness is going to become purer and purer. And where he says, you don't even need meditation, you can gain higher knowledge and you can go further into the path of liberation. Because the whole idea of meditation is to sit in a corner, to disconnect ourselves from our sense telephones, to disconnect ourselves from the outside world, to gain higher consciousness so we can connect with higher consciousness of gods in the divinity or the gurus or the supreme consciousness. But you can do that by righteous living. That is why Valipada was given, because this is a time when you make that effort, success is assured. Because God knows, or Absolute knows how bad we have made this world. How much more challenging it is to even sit in meditation or do something good because we're constantly bombarded with all the negativity in the world. So that is why we have an opportunity. We don't have to do tapas like they used to do in the olden days, because Satya Yuga, everything was so beautiful that they had to spend a lot of more time to gain the same consciousness or pure consciousness that we can get simply by following what Appa has said. And what Appa has said is nothing different from what is being said in the Bible or the Quran or any other religious books. The basis of all religious texts is right living. When we live right, our consciousness, our body becomes pure, our mind becomes pure, our consciousness starts connecting to supreme knowledge immediately. And that is what it's finally all about. Supreme knowledge is pure consciousness, beyond duality, beyond all these rights and wrongs. And we can get there. And those of us who get disconnected during our daily life, go back, pick up any religious book. And if it is written by somebody or given by somebody like Appa Agastya, it is carrying spiritual energy. Read a few paragraphs, you may again connect immediately. That is why, it's important to read books that have been written by highly spiritual people, or directly got from supreme knowledge, like Maharishi Agastya's Vadipadu, Yogananda's books, because they come directly from super consciousness. There are a million other spiritual authors that look at 10 different books and write a book. That's not going to help you, because that energy is not there. Remember that. Sacred books have an energy. The words have an energy that will touch you. And that I have heard from so many people around the world who have said, this book, Appa, I feel it speaks to me. It's changing my consciousness. It's making me realize it's just a book, but Appa's energy is in it. That is why it is important to read books like that. Or you can read, or I have people who have thousands of millions of books in their homes. They love to share these books to people outside in all the groups. I'm not saying it is wrong, but where is it leading them? Nowhere, because they're lost in the books. Read books like that have come directly from God or divine powers. Also reflect and act the way we have been told to do in those books, because they'll change you. That is so important. We must remember that. These are not just ordinary books. That's why Appa said, only those who have a very good karma will be able to look at these books and ask for them and actually read and understand them. Go ahead, Brother Karpan Swami or Sister Sumati.
Okay. So the next question Anuradha poses is, what place do crimes against children have in cosmic law? So Sage Agastya says, a crime is a crime, whether it is against a child or a cow. The same holds good for both. Only you think it is a child, otherwise it is a living being. Anyone who plays with life will have the same karmic fruit.
Again, here, two things. One is, Appa, I was looking at a child as a child. Okay. At that time, I was not very spiritually advanced, or not I have the understanding I have now. So Appa saying a child is a child. It is also a soul. If we look at a child as a child, but we have to remember a child is a soul. So any action against another soul, definitely bad action, definitely incurs karma. Another important thing he's saying is a child or a cow. There is a reason why a cow is considered holy in Hinduism. So he's equaling the soul of the child to the soul of a cow. So we must remember this when we start emulating other cultures and start eating, killing cows to eat beef. There's a reason for that, because that can incur the same bad karma as harming another soul of a higher form, like a human being. So there are two things we have to learn here. Start looking at everybody as souls, whether they are little babies or 5-year-old children or 80-year-old, everybody is a soul. So that's one thing we must remember. Another is, we must understand why in ancient Indian system, cow was considered sacred and still is, because I don't know exactly why, but there is a higher, uh, a being, a soul existing in those animal bodies. We must remember that. We're almost at the end of the time, so we're going to stop today, and next week we're going to start with why are some couples childless. It's a very simple one, and then we will start with the new what do you call it, chapter. So thank you all for joining us today, and see you next.